I tried my best to look like a fucking adult.
It's a miraculous transformation, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. So, I guess we'll just get right into this because this is going to be pretty short. First question I wanted to ask you was rock stars of today versus years ago. When you think of the rock star cliches from the 70s, like Keith Moon throwing a TV out of a window, and Robert Plant and Led Zeppelin having floors of hotels, and then...
I've stayed in that hotel.
The Hyatt?
It wasn't very exciting.
Is that
the Riot Hyatt in Los Angeles.
Yeah, where he was like on a golden yacht on stage, right? Robert Plant. And then moving forward to like Robert Smith, who obviously you wrote a big missive about on your website, was kind of more of an introverted kind of rock star. So the accessibility...
He's the ones in the sad rock star genre.
Yeah. So you had kind of this unattainability and then this inaccessibility, and now we've kind of moved to this period of you where you kind of bare your soul for everybody. So could you talk a little bit about what it's like to, you know, what the new definition of a rock star is?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I was talking with someone just about Robert Smith and kind of inaccessibility the other day. I think the difference is, the biggest difference is, you know, when you talk about either Robert Plant or Robert Smith, a huge part of it was the mystique. Like, it didn't matter if you were throwing TVs out of windows of hotels or, you know, dressed all in black and wearing crazy makeup and looking really, you know, fucked up and depressed. Everyone just had this idea about you. And I think, you know, I've been on both sides of that, like, idea of the rock star, and I've, like, you know, when all of a sudden, like, you go on the road for the first time and you know, there's everything at your disposal and you kind of can be that crazy rock star, you realize that the idea that people had of that, like, the idea of, oh my God, it must have been so amazing to, you know, be on tour with Led Zeppelin. There's actually, you know, there's the idea of it and then there's the actual doing it. I don't know if any of you guys have ever stayed in a hotel room and thrown a TV out the window, but it's exciting for like 5 minutes. And then you have to deal with all of the bullshit that happens later that night and the next morning when the hotel comes to discuss it with you. And your hangover and other things. And so, you know, the interesting thing about what's happening now is that, you know, the mystique is getting torn away just because it is, if you want it to. You know, I'm the kind of person who doesn't really understand mystique because I like talking to people so much that it's impossible to have a mystique. But that's a different idea. There's still plenty of people in rock out there who don't want to blog and Twitter and be constantly connected. But interestingly, you know, the way the industry is going, it's very hard to just kind of make an album in a cave and then like hand it out to the world and say, just listen to it. Because you can't really make any money off that record. So I just feel extraordinarily lucky that the kind of person I am actually works right now. You know, it might not have worked in the mid-'80s if I had, you know, been in this weird band, the Dresden Dolls, gotten signed to a major label that didn't understand us, and then, you know, was stuck, you know, with no way to then get my music to other people if the label decided to pull the plug on us. So, you know, I think the interesting thing about rock stars in the 60s and the 70s is that it was all brand new. And everyone was over the moon about what that idea was. But that idea has now, you know, gotten so disseminated and broken down and stuff that it's kind of hard to get excited in the same way about the same things. You know, so I was talking with someone about this the other day. I think it's impossible for teenagers to be as excited about Lady Gaga right now the way a teenager in 1985 could be excited about Madonna, because no one had done it like Madonna. People were like, oh my God, what the fuck, she's actually doing it. You know, and it's hard, you know, because if you're a pop star following in the footsteps of someone who went out of their way to do everything, you really have to completely reinvent yourself and do something not only totally new within the box, but you've got to just do completely new fucking things. And that's no offense to Lady Gaga. I think she's great. I think what she's doing is very smart. But you know, the rules have to be rewritten now. They constantly have to be rewritten. You know, the idea of a rock star as Keith Moon only exists for Keith Moon, and Jimi Hendrix only for Jimi Hendrix, and Janis only for Janis, and Madonna only for Madonna. And everyone has to come up with their own idea of what it means to be a rock star and then do it.
Okay, very nice.